Welcome to Townsend 909, or welcome back if you're a lovely viewer. Today, me and Bryer from Bryer's Music Showcase will be reviewing a big album today, huge album. Uh, when people think of best albums of all times, a lot of people a lot of people put this on their list. This is their second album. Last week we reviewed their debut album, aptly named Black Sabbath, with the very popular song Black Sabbath, done by the very popular band Black Sabbath. Had fun making that. Bryer, do you have any thoughts on it? Any history? Anything you gotta say?
Yeah, of course. All right, so same year as the debut. So the first album came out, I believe, in February, and then this album came out in September of 1970. So really months apart. And because of that, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot that happened behind the scenes because of that. I mean, they recorded the debut, did really well, and so they went out on tour. And of course, during that time, when you're touring, you're also coming up with songs for the next album. And that's kind of what they did while they were touring. Just kind of, they had some songs, they had some song ideas, and then they kind of just played around with them on the road. And so by the time they get back to the studio, they kind of just went back and went out and recorded them. So same producer, Roger Bain. He's back to produce. And of course, we all know that this album did even better than the debut. I mean, this album got to number one in the UK and went to number 12 in the US. And to most people, this is pretty much the album where Black Sabbath really became a household name for the most part. Like their debut did good, but this one really solidified that they're here to stay. But yeah, this album has a lot of their big hits on here, some of the most well-known songs by them that are still played today and is still considered part of classic rock radio, which we'll get into. But yeah, this is going to be a pretty interesting video, I will say.
I'm just gonna come out and say right now, out of all the, because to Black Sabbath fans, the first six albums are like what they consider to be their big six albums, from the debut all the way to Sabotage. That's like usually what fans usually go to, what they listen to. This is, like I said, this is like the most famous one of the six. I'm just gonna go out and say it. This is my least favorite of the big six albums. I will go into what my favorite of the big six are. Me and Bryer both can agree on it, which is cool. It's in
Hmm.
my top 100 albums of all time. But yeah, this is. I mean, three of the songs got overplayed. Especially one particular song, like I could never listen to it again. But I can't doubt its presence in both metal, classic rock, and just in Black Sabbath's legacy in general. It's an essential album. Uh,
Hmm.
but yeah, I don't really go back to this one that much unless I'm either deep diving them or for this sake reviewing it. First track on the album is War Pigs. With the we have another title conundrum.
Yes.
We had a title conundrum in the first album, and we're having another one in this album. War Pigs slash Luke's Wall. Uh,
Yeah.
we don't know what Luke's Wall is.
Mm,
We know
I don't
War
think
Pigs.
anybody really knows.
My only guess of what Luke's Wall is at the end, where like uh, it's like I don't know. It's like da 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 da
Maybe.
da.
Yeah,
That's
maybe.
my only guess as to what Luke's Wall is. But what I think is what they did with Wasp and
Hmm.
that other track, where it's just sort of just added on as like filler, like to
Yeah,
fill up the title. I don't on my 79 pressing, it doesn't have it on the back. It just
that's
has War
good.
Pigs.
Yeah.
But on my label, it says
Oh,
Luke Wall. So
okay. That's interesting.
they, they on this pressing, they don't know what they're not making up their mind. Like,
I can't make up their
just
mind.
War
Yeah.
Pigs. It's just War Pigs, or is it Luke's Wall? Even in the gatefold, it's just War Pigs.
Mm. Yeah, that's
So
interesting. Yeah.
it is interesting. Uh, Title conundrums aside, what do you think of the track?
All right. Okay, so obviously this is one of their most well-known songs. I mean, this is one of the songs people think of when people think of Black Sabbath. I mean, I think it's definitely a great way to open the album. Um, yeah, I mean, this was originally supposed to be the title track. They originally want this album to be called War Pigs, but given the subject matter of it, they kind of had to they kind of changed it, which I'll get into later. But yeah, which I guess would kind of would make the album would kind of match the album cover a little bit. Of course, speaking of album covers, I think me and you kind of talked about it privately, but probably one of their more weaker album covers is kind of like this like
Oh yeah,
yeah, definitely this you have this like soldier, I guess, who looks kind of goofy. Looks like a kid costume he's wearing with a dinky sword.
yeah. It's dumb compared to the first album, the Masters
Mm-hmm.
of Reality cover, the Sabbath Bloody Sabbath album cover. They had
Right.
so many. Even this might be controversial, but I like the one with the baby on it better
Oh,
than
the Born
this.
Again. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that'll be there's a whole story with that album cover we'll get to later. But anyhow, but album cover aside, of course, lyrically, it's about the Vietnam War, which was still pretty ongoing at the time. Of course, that wasn't actually how the original song was going to be about, because the working title for it was called, I'm going to butcher this, but it's Wol Purgis, which is supposed to be like a black magic wedding. I have no
Hmm.
idea what that means, but that's kind of, but that's Geezer's like occult fascination creeping in again. But of course, they changed their minds, and they went back to the war theme instead, which probably for the better. Um, but yeah, I mean, starting off with that heavy, doomy guitar sound, and then you hear the air raid siren. This is kind of the album where they were starting to experiment a little bit more in the studio. The first album was more bare bones because again they recorded in 12 hours, so they didn't have time to like overdub or do many takes. But here they kind of took a bit more time here and started to use the studio a bit more, which they'll explore even further as we go on through the discography. But yeah, Tony's guitar work, it's just absolutely killer with that that guitar riff. And even in the intro, Geezer's bass playing, like he's really going all over the neck, which is so great, so melodic as well. And of course, Bill Ward. I mean, Bill Ward's drumming on here is just top notch. Like between the whole, especially between Tony's guitar riffs, like Tony will do the riff and then he'll pause and then Geezer will come in with this crazy drum fill. It's just absolutely spectacular. And then you have the switch ups. Like it's 7 minutes long. It's definitely one of the longer songs on here. And yeah, they kind of play around with different sections, different solos and riffs. Um, and yeah, I just think it's probably the perfect way to open the album, I think. So I still really enjoy it.
Cool. What do you think about that Luke's Wall song? Uh,
I mean, if what you're saying is if what we're saying is probably true, then yeah, it's great. It's a great finale.
yeah. Uh, War Pigs. I mean, this was my favorite Sabbath song for a very long time. It's no longer my favorite song by them. Well, so far my ranking of 16 songs, it falls to number 10 on my list. My favorite song by them. Well, I'm gonna spoil it now. My favorite song by them is still "Wicked World."
Mm.
Still number one. Once we get to Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, especially, I know that song's gonna get taken out of its place, but
Mhm.
I'll let Wicked World enjoy its topness right now. Yeah, what a great song this is. Very iconic. Hear it on the radio. But this and another song, well, two other songs, it just kind of got played out for me. This isn't like I'll never listen to it again, or if I never listen to this song again, I'll be very happy not to. It's just like one of those songs where I'll listen to it and enjoy it, but I don't get that enjoyment that I used to from it. Uh, Next song on the album, Paranoid, the title track.
Right. Okay, so Paranoid, this was the huge hit off here. This got to number 4 in the UK. So yeah, definitely blew up. Of course, it's pretty well documented that this was a very last minute addition to the album because they had it finished, they turned it into they turned it in, and the execs was like, "You still have like about 2 minutes, maybe make another song real quick," and they were like, "Oh, okay, fine." And so again, Tony just came up with the riff just out of a whim, and just you just have that, and then the band just kind of came in. They kind of just filled it out. I know Ozzy was kind of started out as Ozzy just kind of hearing the riff and then kind of just making up words as they were going, and then Geezer would kind of take what Ozzy was saying and kind of rearrange things, make it a bit more coherent. But there you there you have it. That's basically them recorded. That's how it was recorded, just quick and easy. There you go. And then of course it became, because Paranoid became a big hit, they made Paranoid the name of the album. Um, but yeah, it's a fast song, very fast paced track. Again, has that very frantic feeling of more anxiety. I'd say it's more anxiety. I've heard many. The only thing about the song is that it kind of describes anxiety more than paranoia, which there's actually a difference. Um, but besides that, I still really enjoy the song. Again, it's short and sweet. It doesn't overstay its welcome for too long. It's just it starts and then it finishes, and then we move on to the next song. See what anything else I say. I mean, Geezer's bass is great. I actually currently trying to learn to play that song on bass, and yeah, it's a lot harder than you think. Haha. But I also really like Tony's guitar solo in it. But yeah, it's definitely, again, it's one of their more popular songs. But again, I still very much enjoy it even today. So yeah, I still enjoy it.
I always thought it was a good song, but I never thought it was a fantastic song like their other songs. Even even when I was first getting into this album, I always thought like this is the big hit off the album. Like it's good. I mean, they should have just went with War Pig. I named War Pig. It was gonna be Pigs.
Mhm.
But it's good, but I mean, it just barely didn't make in my top five. Landed at number 6, but
Mm,
it's good, but it's not a song that I really go back to that much.
okay.
Next song on the album, Planet Caravan.
And now for something completely different. So this was definitely the first time they really experimented on something, and this is definitely the biggest outlier I think on this album, because a lot of the songs here are very, very heavy sounding, but here is more this very slow, very mellow, almost like psychedelic type of track. Um, and again, lyrically, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of about these two lovers, kind of. I guess this is like in the future or something where they were able to get a spaceship and they're just kind of floating around in the universe. Very interesting. I actually watched a documentary on this album preparing for this, and and you have all the members being interviewed, and Geezer pretty much sums up the song that it's just music to get stoned to. So yeah, I can definitely hear it. I think probably the most interesting thing when I first heard this song and I heard Ozzy sing, I'm like, that's Ozzy, because it sounds very different than what he's done before. Granted, there's a lot of effects on his voice, and also he's singing in a higher register, so definitely it's definitely kind of hard to believe that was him at first. But it's interesting. And then you have Bill on conga drums, just simple, nice steady beat. The bass line's pretty nice, and there's some good piano kind of towards the end, which was kind of a nice touch. And Tony's kind of on this doing a little acoustic guitar playing, which is actually the guitar playing is actually supposed to be a little tribute to one of his influences. His name was Django Reinhardt, and that was actually the guitar player who inspired Tony to continue playing after he lost his fingertips, because I believe Ryan Django lost his two fingers in a fire. So he had only 3 fingers to use, and so that inspired Tony to continue guitar. So kind of a nice little tidbit there. But that all said, I will say it's definitely not one of my favorites on the album. I don't know, maybe it's a bit too mellow for me. It's not really a song I go back to really that often on its own. But for what it is, it's interesting, so it's fine.
I'm with you on that. This is I could definitely see the whole stoner thing with this.
Hmm.
It sounds like something that stoners would listen to. I'm with you on that. My second least favorite on the album. That's probably
Hmm.
a big reason why I always consider this to be my least favorite of the first 6 albums. Is that there's like this 3 song. It's like 3 songs in a row where I'm just like, okay, this is good. Okay, this is all right. Okay, I'm sick of this. It's just like the first song's great, but then it's like there's like 3 songs where I could don't really care for. But then like the rest of the album picks it up. But I'll
Hmm.
go more into what I think about that when I talk about the next track, which is Iron Man. What do you think
Hmm.
about that
I mean, probably their most iconic song, probably with the most recognizable riff in like rock history, basically, like da 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 da, that whole thing. Um, and yeah, again, it's still a fantastic riff. Still very memorable. I definitely just, I mean, there's no question why this is still remembered. So let's see what else did I write. Again, there's a lot of great drumming on here by Bill. I really like the whole when Ozzy says "I am Iron Man" in that distorted voice. Um, Kind of goofy, but still kind of cool. And yeah, the whole band sounds great. I love when they speed up towards the end. They really start to jam out still, and yeah, really great guitar solo on this track. And the lyrics are actually pretty interesting too. Basically, what the story is supposed to be, it's supposed to be about this guy who goes into the future, and he sees this metal monster causing destruction, and so he goes back. He tries to go back in time to warn people of this impending doom, but something happens. There's something that goes wrong, something about the magnetic field or something like that. And so once he returns to his time, he is transformed into this metal man, and he still tries to warn people, but because he's different, people just ignore him or they just shun him, and so he kind of like almost like Frankenstein. Like all because of that, he goes insane and basically becomes the destruction he saw in the future. So it's kind of more of a tragic tale if we really think about it, about self-fulfilling prophecies and stuff like that. So that's still very interesting. Yep, it's played a lot. I know I hear it a lot on the radio, but I'm still not sick of it still personally. But yeah, I still think it's great.
track? Me personally, I'm sick and tired of it. I heard the
Mm.
song one too many times. I said in the group chat that I'm in, well, the 50 inducted rock. It's like the 5 of us, the 4 main us plus Adam, and like I heard this song more times than the amount of Bob Dylan albums that was released. So it's well over 40, and I'm just like sick and tired of it. This is the song I was talking about where if I can never hear it again, I'd be super happy, super stoked. Uh,
Mm.
I rank, like I said, I'm ranking all the Black Sabbath songs as I go along. So far, this beats out the Wizard and being the weakest song. This and Planet Caravan took the Wizard's spot of being the weakest Black Sabbath song, which it's good that the Wizard's no longer the weakest because I love the Wizard. But
Mm.
yeah, that's my opinion on that song. I'm gonna leave it at that. I will say the ending's good though. That's the only part I go back to if I ever
Mm.
do listen to the song. It's the ending. Side 2 opens up with Electric Funeral.
Okay. This one I didn't write a whole lot about it. I still enjoy it though. It has a very unusual riff, that wow, 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 wow sort of thing, and yeah, it still has that very menacing sound to it. It's basically just about the apocalypse coming, basically, and yep, the riff really reflects that. And of course, you have Ozzy doing his tip, because usually when Ozzy's singing, he's usually just singing along to the riff. He's just kind of staying in that pattern, which is fine. Um, but yeah, it kind of stays in that sort of mid tempo range for a little bit, but then it starts to pick up towards the end again, which is definitely refreshing. Um, but yeah, still a very cool song though. I think this just barely made the top five. Who knows? It could switch though, but yeah, I think it's a very good song.
I think the song's amazing. This like so far, this is the best song so far on the album. Comparing to the first four songs. I'm not gonna lie. Whenever I listen to Paranoid, I only listen to side two. Uh, I usually never listen to side one. Like maybe I'll put War Pigs on and then like go straight to side two after that. But yeah, this is probably my least favorite from side two. Actually, hold on. Yeah, this is my second. Well, if I well, this made it into my top five. But yeah, very good song though. I do like the way that they switch it up though. That's
Hmm.
something I always got to give Black Sabbath credit. Is like they would make like a good song, but then they would like change it up at the end, like
Right.
War Pigs, Iron Man, and this song. So gotta give them credit for that. Next song on the album, Hand of Doom.
All right. Another pretty cool song. Um, this is actually I've read that this was actually one of Bill's favorite songs on the album, and I can see why. Definitely Bill gets to shine a bit more on his drumming here again, which is definitely nice. I think I said this before. I think he's a pretty underrated drummer. Um, Again, Tony's guitar work again, really a great standout on here. Um, again, and like again, this is another type of song where it starts out kind of slow, but then it switches back up, starts to pick up again, and it kind of keeps going back and forth on this one. So there's a lot of dynamics here, and another lyrically is another very interesting one. Kind of about the U.S. troops. I can't remember. I think it's just still about the Vietnam War. I could be wrong about that, or maybe it's about World War II. But it's just U.S. troops getting drugged, getting stoned, or something like that. Um, just to kind of ease the pain of war. I'm assuming. So again, very interesting. This was still kind of about towards the tail end of the flower power type of movement. And of course, you have Black Sabbath writing about war, like more the darkness of it, which was definitely kind of different at that point. So it's kind of nice. It's kind of refreshing, I'd say. But still, very cool song.
This song's amazing. This is like the first five songs are good, but this song is amazing.
Hmm.
This is I'm like, where's the quality on this stuff? You know, like this song and another song. I'm like, these two songs are just way better than the other six songs on the album. That's another reason why it's my least favorite of the six big Black Sabbath albums. Uh, it's such a good song. I've always loved Hand of Doom. I'm like, this song is super underrated. This is definitely one of the more deeper cuts on the album. I mean, to be fair, well, there might be one song that's not really that much, but this second side is just filled with amazing deep cuts.
Hmm.
This song, it was a toss up between if I like this song better or if I like Nib better. I
Mm.
was really had me thinking, but in
Yeah.
the end, I preferred Nib. But this is
Yeah.
also amazing. Um, yeah, what a great song. Next track on the album, an instrumental take, Rat Salad, or what it was originally going to be, Rat Soup.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, yeah, it's an instrumental, and I'll be honest, it's not really. I'd say this is probably my least favorite track. I mean, it's still there's some cool guitar playing, and this is where Billboard gets his drum solo, which is kind of cool. But it's a very short instrumental. I can kind of do without it, honestly. I don't have a whole lot to say about it.
I think this is a really good drum solo. Well, after seeing my reviews on the Birds, and you'll know that I actually really like instrumentals on albums. This is no exception. This is great. I love the drum solo. Get to hear him actually show off his great drumming. I mean, he does it great on other songs, but this is like his big moment on the album, and I respect that. I respect it more than I love it. I will say that though. Last song on the album is, let me see if it's on the record.
We're gonna see if Jack the Stripper's on
Yep, Jack the Stripper,
it.
Fairy Boots, and yet another title conundrum.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. What's it called? On the back of the album, it says Fairy Boots. On the
Mm-hmm.
gatefold, it says Fairy Boots. But on the
Um,
label, it says
it
Jack.
has Jack the Stripper.
And I'm like, make up your mind. But
Right. Yeah, luckily, I think they start to stop after this album. I think.
let me check.
Yeah. Maybe Master Reality has a little bit, but I don't think I know
No,
Volume 4 doesn't have it.
they don't have it. Volume 4 has it.
Oh, it does.
Wheels of Confusion, the Straightener,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Under the
Okay.
Sun, Every Day Comes and Goes.
Oh,
The first one, Under the Sun, and Every Day Comes and Goes.
okay. All right.
It's
So
always
we're not.
interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Okay.
Anyhow, what?
Okay.
Yeah. Anyhow, let's go back to Fairies Wear Boots, and yep, this is a terrific album closer. This is another one. This is definitely one of my favorites on this album. I will say the meaning behind the song, I've heard very conflicting interpretations of it from the band. There's one interpretation where it's like about these bullies that used to bully them because they had long hair, and they called them fairies because they had short hair. Um, or it's about people getting high on LSD, or both. So there's like three possible meanings to it. But regardless, the song just really is fantastic. I mean, I love the sound of Tony's guitar in the intro, and then the main riff is just so great, and more great drumming on here, and definitely a really great vocal performance by Ozzy on this one. He definitely belts out a lot more on this track. Um, yeah, it's just a really good, very heavy sort of song that just it's just closes out this album with a bang. I think so. Yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
I agree. This album definitely ends on a banger. This is. I don't know if this is one. I know. I don't know if this is a part of their greatest hits or not. I'm not sure. I sort of call. I also consider this to be one of the deep cuts, and what a great deep cut this is. The way uh, Ozzy starts with the going home late last
Hmm.
night,
Yeah.
just so iconic to me. I've always loved this song. This song is so good. I'm so glad the radio hasn't gone to this song yet, because that would be sad. But I'm very happy they don't. This is my little secret. Well, our little secret, I'd say.
Right.
Yeah, this is close to be my favorite Sabbath song, but Wicker World just is slightly better. Just a
Hmm.
teeny. Uh, okay. Five favorite songs. Dishonorable or an honorable mention, however you like to choose it. And yeah,
All right. Okay. So my top five. It's gonna be number 5, Electric Funeral. Number 4 will be Paranoid. Number 3, War Pigs. Number 2, Iron Man. And number 1 is going to be Fairies Wear Boots. And then I'll say dishonorable track. It's gonna be Red Salad.
Okay, that's fair. My number five is going to be War Pigs. This is the only song that's from side one.
Hmm.
To me, it's easily the best song from side one. Number four, Rat Salad. Number three, Electric Funeral. Number two, Hand of Doom. And the best song on the album, Jack the Stripper, Fairies Wear Boots.
Hmm.
And for my honorable mention, I'd say Paranoid. And for the dishonorable mention, Iron Man.
All right.
I don't know. It could either be that or Planet Caravan. Those two songs I really don't listen
Yeah,
to.
Paracaravan was my second least as well.
But what
Planet
is your
is.
album rating?
All right. So for rating, this was actually kind of tough to rate. I didn't know how to rate it at first because to me, this and the debut kind of are constantly going back and forth. There are some days I prefer the debut, but then there are some days I prefer Paranoid. So I still kind of feel that way. So for right now, I'm gonna give it the same rating I gave the debut. I'm still gonna give it a 9 out of 10. So we'll see where it ends up when we do our ranking at some point. But again, they're pretty even, I think. But again, it's not my favorite Black Sabbath album. But yeah, I still think it's a very good album, and I still think it still holds up and definitely deserves the reputation it has for again just bringing heavy metal to like the masses, basically. So yeah, so 9 out of 10.
I don't know if I gave Black Sabbath a 10 out of 10 or a 9.75 out of 10. I forgot. Uh,
Mm.
my score is going to be a lot less generous. As I would famously say, I give the album a 10 out of 10 until proven otherwise. I'm docking off 3 points right away for the sheer overplayed songs on it, especially Iron Man. That song gets destroyed at side one of the album. Uh, side two, like Iron Man is so overplayed. I actually dock off 1.5 points for that. So I give it a 6.5 out of 10 because
Okay.
it, what's I can't give an album and I can't give the album any higher just for side two. Side two is amazing, actually.
Hmm.
Like, now that I think
Yeah.
about it, side two is so good. I give it up zero point 0.5 just for how good side two is. So that's 7 out of 10. To me, it's a backloaded album. The first half, I don't listen to, like I said a bunch of times already. So yeah, it's if side one was a little better, I'd give it a 8 out of 10. But side two is just so much better than the first side. Of course, in my opinion. As I said already, I ranked all the songs so far. I'll update every time my list changes. So far, my
Hmm.
top 10 songs. Obviously, I didn't mention this to you, Bryer, so you don't have to do it.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just sort of doing an update. So War Pigs at number 10, Rat Salad at number 9, Black Sabbath at number 8, Electric Funeral at number 7, Evil Woman at number 6, Hand of Doom at number 5, Nib at number 4, Sleeping Village at number 3, Jack the Stripper, Wears Boots at number 2, and Wicked World so far still has the title of being my favorite Black Sabbath song. Um,
Right. Cool.
until next time we'll be reviewing their third studio album, Masters of Reality, or just Master of Reality.
Hmm.
Uh, Thankfully, after Black Sabbath Volume 4, we no longer have title conundrums. They only did it on 3 albums, thankfully.
That's good. Yeah.
I mean, it's funny, but at the
Yeah.
same
It's
time,
amusing, but yeah.
just come up with the title already. I don't need extra titles for the songs. Like,
Mm.
so I'd probably say the first album's probably the first American album's probably the biggest offender of that.
Right. Yeah.
Wasp. Basically, there's a song called
Oh
in,
yeah.
in,
It's just the bass
basically,
solo. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm like, what? And then a bite of a bit of finger. I'm like, just like, this is weird.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned though for next week on that. Me and Jason in a little bit, we're going to be reviewing the Kinks' second album, Kinda Kinks. Looking forward to that. Until then, thank you guys for watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So long.